Welcome to your next step up the self-publishing mountain.
I'm Matilda Swift, author of quintessentially British cozy mysteries.
And I'm Samantha Cummings, author of young adult books about magic, myths and monsters.
I've written the books,
Changed their covers,
tweaked their blurbs,
tried tools from a dozen ads courses.
and I'm still not seeing success.
Now, we're working together to plot and plan our way from barely making ends meet to pulling in a living wage.
Join us on our journey where we'll be mastering the pen to snag that paycheck.
Hello and welcome to Pen to Paycheck Authors Podcast. I'm Matilda Swift, here with my co-host Samantha Cummings, and we're here to write our way to financial success. We're two indie authors with over 24 books between us and still a long way to go towards the quit the day job dream. If that sounds familiar, listen along for our Mastery Through Missteps journey. Each week we cover a topic to help along the way. This week we're talking about improving our craft, but first, go on, what are your wins and whinges of the week?
Well, gentle listeners and viewers, today was our mastermind day, so that's my
Shocking.
win of the week. I love that I get to do this. Win of the week mastermind day was very fun and very
Question
tiring.
mark?
Yeah.
It was intense.
I feel like I just use my brain so much, and
Mhm.
they are often, it feels like that's like the hardest mastermind to have, but then afterwards you have the good things start happening, like your brain starts to figure things
Yeah.
out. So I haven't figured things out yet. I feel like I've just put a lot of information into my brain and I'm waiting for it to.
We covered a lot of topics.
Yeah. I am going to describe my brain as kaplunk, and right now the marble is at the top. and as I have many epiphanies along the way, I'll remove. This is such a silly reference. I'll remove a
It's
straw.
an incredibly specific reference. If
until
anyone saw the
that marble drops to the
1990s
bottom.
advert for Kaplunk, you can picture it.
If you never played kaplunk, what were you doing in the 90s?
Do they even have it in other countries? I hope so.
I have no idea. Yeah, it's very. If you've never heard of it, don't Google it. Just imagine.
You're
from what I've
fine.
just
Life's already
what I've just described. Straws, marble. You get the gist.
Mhm.
We also launched the Epiphany engine this week. So that
Very
is a big
exciting.
win of the week. It was a very scary and exciting time because we put a lot of work into all the prep.
You
and
did so much tech work.
I did.
I did none.
I really challenged myself, and I feel like I did a good job. I feel like I learned a lot about Discord and just like quite a lot of techie stuff,
Mhm.
webhooks and loads
Whoa.
of fun stuff. I know, like tech words. So that has been a big success, like just launching that, which is launching any kind of new project or product or whatever is scary. So
For anyone who
that's-
missed it, that's our membership tiers, which
yes,
you can find more about in last week's episode, or
yes.
go into our Discord, where we explained it all. So there's free tier, and we're going to Discord, the link is in the show notes,
Yes.
where we chat, ask stupid questions, share our wins and whinges, and epiphanies. And then there's information on the paid tiers as well, where you get lots of extra benefits,
Yes.
which we talked about last week.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a really big win. I also have I'll start with the one before. My brain's just like all over the place. I'm very tired, and when I tell you my whinge, it'll make sense why. So we did a really good co-working session on Saturday. So that was our first co-working session of the Epiphany Engine, and we are, for the first paid tier, The Dream, doing every Saturday co-working sessions between 2 and 5. So we tuned into our very first one, and it was really good, and I got loads of stuff done, and I sent my ARC books out to my ARC readers during that.
When you said your
So that's
newsletter,
like
it was horrifying. You did so much stuff, and I was like, I'm doing one thing this whole time.
I really am
You are
very good
efficient.
at hammering through a lot of stuff on a Saturday, which is why I suggested that the co-working on a Saturday between 2 and 5, which is always my working hours. So I was like, well, just
Yeah, it was so
everyone come
inspiring.
and
I was
work
like, oh
with
my goodness,
me.
I can do all the things.
Yeah, I make a big list and I just hammer through it. So I did a lot during the co-working, which was really good. I got a lot of things off my to-do list. And my whinge is that I am unwell. I've got a cold, which is I can't remember when I last had a cold. maybe like the start of the year. I don't know. I don't actually get them that often, I don't think. But because I have asthma, when they hit me, they can hit me hard and fast. So I was doing really well because my boyfriend had a cold all last week, and I thought for sure I was going to be okay. And then I got home on Friday evening, and it was like somebody just smashed my face into a brick wall and said, "There you go. That's the cold." So I'm currently very tired and lethargic and just feeling like bleh. But carrying on. Can't stop. How about you? What are your wins and whinges?
I'm looking at my phone right now because I had to get my phone out to remember what I've done this week because I was like, I cannot. I feel like I'm doing too much at the moment, if I'm honest. I've been saying all day, like I feel like I'm in a bit of a period of ennui, but actually, maybe part of it is just like I'm just sort of socially run down. But it's all stuff that I really want to do, so I think I need to find a better way to recharge because what I did last week was I had loads of chats with different authors. Went down to London for just a couple of days to meet up with some more authors who I knew in Hong Kong, which was fantastic. And it was just like such an intense, it felt like a holiday, but like that sort of intensity of we did so much in a couple of days. We had a whole writing day in the British Library. Then I came back and spent another day with a different author. Then did the co-working. I did all my bookkeeping, caught up for several months with the bookkeeping that I was feeling like a real weight of guilt about. As that felt phenomenal. And it felt so much easier than I thought it was going to do. If I'd been sat there by myself, it would have just been like the sort of frustrating thing where you just have to have a little bit of a cry or walk away and have some chocolate because it was full of horrible things. But it was delightful to do with company. And then I had dinner with my parents, and then we had our mastermind day today. And yeah, I'm just packing things really full, which is nice. But maybe it doesn't quite align with my personal social battery. So yes, but I got some nice long walks in as well. So I did like a long walk to Haworth, where the Brontes are from, for the sole excuse of going to like the apothecary there. And then tomorrow I'm going a long walk. So I'm trying to do a long walk once a week, which is trying to hopefully help. But I think maybe I also need a little bit more isolation time.
Yeah, I think you need just
Antisocial time.
more antisocial. Just spend time with cats time. I think
Yeah.
your cats want that as well.
Yeah. Yes. And it has been very nice being back with them. I've been around all week. And yeah, next week I've got some nice things on as well, but a little bit less intense. And then I'm off to York for a retreat at the monastery, which is very exciting.
I
And my
love that we
cats
just
will
say
have the chance to
the
miss me.
monastery. Yeah,
The monastery we go to.
Going to the monastery, the monastery, the only one that's important. Sorry,
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah, it's a very magical place. I'm very excited for you to be going there. In spring as well.
Yeah.
The gardens will look very nice, I imagine.
Yes. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. I think I'll see some deer. I don't know why. Might not, but I think I will.
Yeah.
I saw deer in Ireland. Literally, I was walking around the corner saying, I hope I see some deer. And then we just saw some deer.
I saw
So
a
I'm gonna
deer
bring that energy.
last week. Yeah. I just saw. Actually, I think I saw a couple of deer. Just.
All right.
I know. Sorry, just to one up you.
I just saw an owl on Monday, so
I saw two
that's
deer.
pretty good. I saw a barn owl.
I've not seen an owl, so yeah.
Yeah.
You win. I did see birds of prey, though. Many birds of prey.
That's fine.
So, to get into the topic of the week, because otherwise we never will. Today we are talking about craft. But what do we mean by that?
So I think we never talk about craft in this podcast, but
No.
we talk about it quite a bit off air. I think because we're never doing a really specific task. It's just sort of like all the time, every day we're doing like a little bit of something that works. Like it's most of what we do, right? Is like work on our writing, and thinking about sentences and thinking about your structure, your story. But I cut a book from my year schedule this year because I realised a couple months into my time off work that I was like, oh, all I'm doing is like working as hard as I ever did and like head down, hamster wheeling, trying to get as many books out as possible. And if I keep doing what I've always done, I'm just going to get the same results I always got. And I love learning. So I was like, and I really have made like the most of this year, all this time off in terms of like booking retreats and seeing people and booking conferences. As we've just said, maybe too many things. But I was like, I've done loads in that area, but like I've missed out the thing that I really value, which is learning. I'm like in strengths terms, like learner input all in my top 5. I love learning things, and I was like, I would really love to take some time off to have like a learning period every year. So I'm going to try and take a month off a year to do that and pick a topic. And at the moment, one of the things I'm feeling like I need to work on is character. I think in cozy mysteries, character is very important in a way that I definitely can like overlook, because you've got a mystery to put together, right? So you've got to like have characters to investigate a mystery, characters to be suspects. Like you have people in the story, and I don't have romances, and I feel like my characters need to be a bit stronger in order to carry people through a story that doesn't have a romance in. Like you need to really care about people despite them not falling in love, which is not a thing I care about in a story, but a lot of people do care about in a story. So I was like, one thing I want to work on then is to have better characters so that people care more about their outcomes, regardless of whether they fall in love with someone or not. And it was really interesting because it's not a thing that it feels like a day one thing, right? It feels like you've written characters. They're in the book. The book couldn't have that many people in it. So I didn't really know what I was going to do. Had no plan. People kept asking me, like, what are you going to do in a month of working on character? I don't know. But the thing was, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I couldn't make a plan, because if I'd made a plan, it would have had to come from somewhere and I didn't know where to start. So that's where I kind of picked up my month of character and where I kind of got the concept of Macraft. How about you?
I always feel like I rely on the idea of craft getting better on its own.
Which I think it does.
And it does, to a degree, I think it does. But like you say, you don't know what you don't know. And I always have really, like, lofty ideas of, I'll do this course, I'll do that course, and I'll get better at this, but I never take time doing it. And I have 2 courses, I've got 2 tabs open on my computer for courses that I bought, and have never completed them because I never set the time aside, and it's always just like the thing that I put off until like, the next quarter. And I'm currently in the middle of a series that I've done the best that I can at the moment with my current level of craft, which is fun because it's kind of based on the craft, so it's like that's like a fun thing. Yeah. But I know with this book series, I can feel myself bumping against my own limitations within this series, and I can feel the fact that even with all of the best intentions of trying my best to write this book and this series, I can't do better than where I'm at right now, which is fine. That's a good feeling to have, because it means that I know that there's a gap, or there's something that I'm missing that I can learn. But yeah, I'm definitely pushing up against the wall of like, I feel like I think about this story and this series that I'm writing, my Dark Academia series. Like I see it so vividly, and I know so much about the world that I've created and the characters, but I can't. I feel like I'm not translating it as well as I could because I don't have the tools to do that. And so I'm completing the series with the skills that I have right now, but for my next series, I really want to stop, and before I even start writing it or rewriting it, because I have already started it, before I start rewriting it, I really want to make sure I take the time to do the courses that I've got and build this, I really want to build a series planner where I completely, before I even start, sketch out a whole book series with character arcs and all of the stuff that you think beforehand that you should do, but you never do because you just want to jump into the exciting story, which is me all over. I just always want to jump into the exciting part and never really do the work. I'm kind of at that point where I just need to stop and do the work. And I was saying this like in an earlier episode, I'm sure like at the start of the year or the end of last year, where I said, oh, maybe next year I don't publish and I just just work on stuff. And whilst I don't think I won't publish, I do think I'm not gonna do the same routine that I've done this year, which is write book, edit book, release book, write book, edit book, release book. I think I am gonna stop for a bit and try and do the work before I start building the series.
And I would say, so I said I was going to take a month off, and then due to something else in my schedule, it's actually only going to be 3 weeks. And then, as I said, this week I've been incredibly busy, and I've done like bits and pieces of work around what I've been doing, but not dedicated time. But I had a writing retreat that I hosted at my house the week before, or my parents' house the week before. Just that week of super intense work, I feel like it dramatically changed everything, because it made me like figure out what I don't know. So just having one solid week and, you know, literal like 9 to 5 every day to really dive into stuff, it meant that when I'm doing work in bits and pieces around other stuff, it's actually fine because I'm just continuing things I've already started. And so I would say it can sound really daunting to think like, oh, I need to fundamentally understand something that I don't even know what it is right now. But just taking a week, and I'd done some prep beforehand, like I'd bought some books and done like little bits of reading, and then figured out like, oh, maybe I want this book and it recommends this, so I want to have a look at these videos. So I got some stuff queued up for myself, but I hadn't really started thinking about things because, like I said, I just felt like I was missing something and not quite sure what it was. And also having that time to tell people in advance, like, oh, I'm thinking about this, meant that some people sent me some videos and things, and like information on courses that I could queue up. And then spending a week literally just doing nothing but reading, watching courses, thinking about something. I think I mentioned, just going to get my copy somewhere. Yes, I had read Pretty Girls, the Karen Slaughter book, before I started on this, and it had such good characters that it meant I could use it as like I ordered myself a paper copy. I already had an ebook copy, I ordered myself a paper copy, so I could look through it and literally underline where it does the characterization. And actually, I would say that just that 1 week that I've spent like completely dedicated to it, on top of like the pre-thinking time and the kind of post-following up time, is all I've needed. That has really changed everything for me. And I feel like I now know what I don't know. So I've still got things to keep learning, but like just that time gave me enough time to really focus on it. And I think actually, if I'd given myself loads of time and said like, I'm going to spend a solid month of just doing nothing but looking at this and like completely clear the decks for a month, I probably would, like, it's one of the things that would have filled the space I'd given it. I wouldn't have.
I was going to say that. Yeah. Yes, like it would take the time you've allotted for it to take.
Yeah. And I think because I did it on a retreat, it meant that everyone around me was very focused. And when I was doing things like watching videos or reading books or like just reading through an old book and tapping it up, I was as focused as if I was writing a first draft. And it felt so supercharged. So just like locking yourself alone in a room for a week and going through stuff, that's what I'd recommend.
Yeah, I think that when we go away on the September retreat, I think I might take that week too, because because I know that this is something I want to work on. My brain is already looking for the clues. Like I'm looking for the things around me that I think will help me progress, which is like a great thing about, like, if you're very self-aware, which I think a lot of writers are, because you're always looking around the world to see what you can use when you're writing. Because I know that I'm quite self-aware, I can, if I have a thought that I want to do something, I can trust that my brain will start to look for,
keep bringing you stuff.
Like manifesting. If to go back to the good woo stuff. But that's what manifesting is. It's like you've told yourself that you want something, so your brain looks for the patterns. And that's I feel like by the time we come to September, I'll have my series will be complete. My current series will be complete, and I will have like the space and time to pull all the things that I'm going to be learning over the next few months together to figure it out. Like I hope that it happens sooner, but I don't actually have any time off until then. So unfortunately, I think that's the only week that I'll be able to do it. But I definitely.
But I think doing on a retreat is so helpful.
really looking forward to it. I'm gonna take like a big notepad, and I'm gonna get in the map because I
Yeah.
need to be. And we're talking about this today. Because I really want to plan out the whole series that I'm gonna write next, rather than just doing one book and then deciding what happens next, like I always do. I need a way to visualize the whole thing,
Yeah.
but because I'm such a visual person, I'm really good at having it in my mind and seeing all this stuff in my mind, but I also am very tactile, so I also need, which is why I've got like post-its and stuff all around me, because I need to actually see things as well. So I need a big piece of paper that I can write on and then like be actually in it. So
I love my like
maybe,
big roll of brown paper
yeah,
because then I can just like write all over it, make a mess of it, and just like tear it off and start again if you have to.
yeah.
And it
You'll
travels
come
well.
up into the library and I'll have all the paper on the floor and I'll just be in the middle of it.
Yeah, across the length of the room, and you're like
And the
walking up and
whole
down
room.
it.
Yeah.
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 As your
I can
prep work,
visualize that.
between now and then, what I would recommend is like writing excuses the podcast, which has been going on
Yeah.
for like millions and millions of years. There's like 10,000 episodes of it, but all the episodes are like 15 minutes. I have had that before. I don't normally love a 15-minute podcast. I like to be fully immersed in something. I like people in my ear for a while. So I never normally listen to it on a routine basis. But the best thing about it is because it's been going for so long, if you search in writing excuses for one word, so search for like structure, they will have 50 episodes on that topic.
Yes.
And just queue them all up. Like literally just like put them in one a day between now and when we go. Keep listening to them. And you'll hear things come up that you think like, yes, no, I want to know more about that. I want less about that. On things that come up again and again. And it just gives you, because they're so resourceful, the various people who presented that, they've got good suggestions and it will give you everything you need for like the next steps for the prep. It was so useful. I've listened to maybe 30 episodes on character from them across the years as well. And some of them are repetitive and sometimes that's helpful. So like I would say that can feel a bit annoying, but actually hearing the same thing said in a couple of different ways is very helpful.
Yeah.
And they are experts. They're like the experts of experts.
Yeah, it's funny because like I know that you're also like you're doing a lot of character stuff, and characters is also something that I really, really want to nail because I know my own. I know that this also comes around the same thing as like I'm bumping against the wall. I know what the characters look like, and I know what they sound like, and how different they all are, and I'm very. I don't know if this is just me being paranoid or not being sure of myself and my like self-esteem, but I'm worried that they actually don't come across as individual as I think that they are in my brain, and that is something that I really, really want to nail because my next series, I mean the series that I'm writing right now, I feel like all of my characters are very like unique, but I don't think they actually are. In my head they are, and I don't think they are.
I heard Quinta Brunson, did I say this last week? I heard Quinta Brunson say something really useful. And she was questioning someone else, so I can't remember what it was, so I'm going to say it was Quinta Brunson. And she was like, if you've got a story and you want to test if your character unique, like think about them each walking past a $5 note on the floor or a £5 note on the floor. And like, is there a unique way in which they would all pick them up? Pick that £5 note up, a $5 note. And like, she was giving an example of Abbott Elementary, where she has got such astoundingly unique characters. And like, instantly I could picture how every single person would pick up the $5 note on the floor because they are such specific and like slightly extreme people. But they're not extreme like out of the bounds of what you might see. They might be like, but each one might be like the weirdo that you work with, but they're all working together. So they really work. And I was like, I can picture how every single one of them would pick up that note. And I think that was a really useful test. And that's also come out of, like you're saying, like when you have a topic in your mind, the universe just serves you more and more on the topic, or / the algorithm, and you notice more. Serves you more on the topic. And so it's just like being aware of something for a while that you want to focus on makes you, notice and stop and linger on things like that. And it gives you just lots and lots of little tools that will be useful. Because in fact, in Writing Excuse, which I have listened to before and listened to bits of, and some of the things that they talk about a lot, and I've definitely heard them talk about before. One was the mice quotient, which I'm going to get a little book. which is an Orson Scott Card concept, who wrote Ender's Game, and he has a book called Characters and Viewpoints. As you can see from my poster, if you're watching this, I'm not all the way through it. What I found really useful reading lots of books about character was not necessarily that they were telling me a thing that I needed to know, but they told me a thing that gave me an idea about a specific character situation that I want to resolve. So, like, I don't think I've read and I'm reading lots of books about the topic of character, but it's not like, oh, thank you, Orson Scott Card, now I know how to write characters. It's more just like lots of little things trickling around in my head, and to make sure that I am doing something practical with them, I am planning a fake book in my head, with all the character info. So I had a concept in my head a while ago for a psychological thriller that, like, I don't know if I'm ever going to write it. I'm not sure I've got time to write it, or I want to work in that genre or whatever, but like, I might do. But I just wanted to have an idea for a book that I wasn't necessarily going to write. And in fact, it was originally going to be a mystery I was going to plan during this period. But I was like, I want to write something that makes me get a little bit further out and like challenge a few more things, like makes me think about things a bit more carefully. So I had a psychological thriller idea, and it was really just like the barest of bones. And then I read Pretty Girls, a Karen Slaughter book, and I was like, okay, if I was going to look at that and use it as like a structural model, and in fact she follows the Save the Cat beats quite closely, so it gave me a chance to like read through it and compare like what plot points she used at certain beat points. If I was going to follow that with this concept that I had, what characters would I need, and how would I make them stand out or unique, or how would I make them do what they need to in the book? What would I need to think about for those characters? So I would say, yeah, lots of whatever you want to input, like books, videos, anything, and have a fake book to hang it on, to keep testing those ideas, because it gave me, as I was reading, I had so many ideas for this fake book. I came like, oh, I read little lines like, yeah, I need that character to do that thing, and just making it practical has been such a help. And in fact, the next book I'm writing, like book in a new series I'm writing, I've also had lots of ideas for that. And I now know how I need to like rewrite the characters for it. But like having this fake book has helped me so much, because there's a character in it and I really can't think of like who he is. I know what he needs to do, but he's just not becoming real. And it's really given me like a useful thing to keep like tackling and figuring out like, how can I make him real? Like everyone else in it feels very like, I know what their goal is, I know who they are, what they're doing, but this person, he needs to be in it because he's related to everybody else. He's connected to everyone else. He has an important job in the book, but he doesn't really have his own motivation. And if I try and think about him, I keep thinking like, oh, but if I need him to do X, he can't do Y because he'd be too moral to do Y. But if I need him to do Y, he can't do X because, you know, he would have this conflict in him. Like, so I'm trying to figure out how to make that person. And it's so useful. Like, it's not letting me get away with thinking I've studied character enough when I absolutely haven't.
Yeah, there's definitely I'm when you talked about like input being one of your like top, is it your number one in your Clifton Strengths?
Maybe.
Which is crazy.
Very possibly.
And just looking at my Clifton Strengths, because I know myself, I'm not a studious person. I'm not a school person. Which is weird. I love learning, but it's
Are you not like also intellectual input very high?
And intellection, I think, is my third, maybe. Yeah, third. But learner is 17, input is 19.
Oh.
And that tracks for me really, because I do love intellection in terms of I love absorbing information. But the structure or like the way that information is given to me has to be very specific. And if it's in the form of lesson, or if I have to read to learn, that's not how my brain works.
Yeah.
I know, and that's like, and I just know that about myself, because I just struggled so badly at school
Yeah.
when I had to do anything on my own, and I had to learn on my own, which was like, any kind of homework or
Hmm.
anything where it was just like, read this and then write what you've learned from that. I just didn't understand that. And at the time, I don't think I really thought about why. But as I've gotten older, I've realized it's because I am an interactive learner and I need to,
Mm.
like, I'm really good at, if somebody shows me something, I can mimic it. And
Hmm.
and that's how I learn, is by people telling me and showing me and helping me come to a point of understanding. And once I've come to a point of understanding, I love it, and I love knowing that, and I love getting information. But getting the information in has to be done in a very specific way.
Mm.
So which is why I'm forever like getting these courses or buying books about craft. I've got like a lot of books on my list about craft, which
Mhm.
I've never read, because I instantly flinch away because I don't think I'm going to take any of that information in. So I have to try and figure out a way to learn craft without it being without it my brain being like, no, this they're trying to force us to learn. Stop.
I just checked. I'm number 4 learner, but I'm number 1 input, and I think number like 6 intellection. So like just all the knowledge and inside things. But we were saying
Yeah.
earlier today that one of our future episodes we're going to do like we're going to read a book.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a craft book; it's a business book. But like because I think both of us can just read something and then be like that was interesting, and then not apply anything.
Yeah.
We're going to then make ourselves a plan that we talk about in the podcast. So maybe that's a thing. But I have also watched a lot of videos. So uh, I've watched videos. I've got a lecture packet, which is like a transcription for some lecture series. I I did a course that was not really relevant. I think I mentioned it before. I did the CC Lira course, Hacking Writing Online Level, which does not seem like it's actually about. It doesn't sound like it's about character, but it really is, because it's all about like writing voicey fiction. And actually having done that just before all this has made me very attentive to the ways in which writers convey character that you might miss, or you sort of just can enjoy without noticing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I also, for me, and this is definitely an input thing, is like for me, just like volume. I find volume very helpful. So I have probably input, in 1 week was like 100 hours
Yeah.
of
That's crazy. That's crazy to
of
me.
input, and that's just like gone into my head, and it feels like it's all done useful things. Um, but I do think without having had this sort of fake book to be planning, it it could have washed over me. Though I said I did have ideas for this Christmas book, but I didn't want to be applying to that right away. I wanted to like really get the concepts. Yeah, and I think having a model book was very helpful, like really to challenge my understanding. So like, okay, if I think this is how characters work, can I find a place in this book where it's doing that? Is this how it's working here? Um, and can I identify even small details in what the writer's doing, uh, and big details, and like how that's making the characters effective? And in fact, what is interesting about this Karen Sorter Pretty Girls book, and thinking about the characters, is like the more and more I think about it and have to go over and over it again, it's like tons of things in this book. Obviously, it's psychological thriller, which like it's incredibly dramatic, and gruesome. Things in it happen that are so far beyond the bounds of like reality, um, that you like. If I'm on like the third or fourth like skim through of it, I'm like, this is ludicrous, like
Yeah.
really ludicrous. There's no way on earth any of this would ever happen. But it's because you're so deep inside the characters, that you never stop to question it at all. And it's interesting to kind of read again and again and again and see how the character work, um, like makes you follow along a story that is in no way realistic. And it seems very realistic. Like the characters are so grounded that everything, it seems realistic. And it's also interesting, like there's quite a few characters who are not necessary, um, to the plot. And I think if you were really hard editing that book, you would cut out easily a couple of characters. Um, And so it's really interesting to like read through and trying to figure out like why are they in there? What purpose are they serving? I mean, one of them is like Karen's daughter just often has grandma characters. I think she was just like really like her grandma. So she's got a grandma in it, but it's like I'm just trying to read it and think like if you took this out, what difference would it make? Would I need this character in my book if I were going to rewrite this? It's a different book. Yeah, and so I think like the practical side of the learning has been very helpful. And it's something that if I'm learning without like a very strong focus, like I'm reading a craft book or I'm reading a business book generally, I'm not very good at doing. I tend to just like read it, shut the book and never think about it again.
Yeah.
And be like, that's probably gone in. It has not.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely not how it goes into my brain. And I really wish I knew the best ways that I learned, because I know like when people are showing me things, that's how I learn, but I can't have Maggie Steve Otter, which is one of the courses that I've got, is like her writing course, because to me like her books are like my like I wish I could write like she could write. She's incredibly intellectual and is so good at characters and world building and like magic and myths. And if I could just get her to, if she could just come over. And the same with Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Like if they could just come over and show me how, I want to see their murder boards. I want to see how they map things out. If I could just see it, that would work for me. But I can't. I can't have them do that. So I've got to try and figure out another way to get that information into my head.
I mean, I suggest post-its. Still post-its coming. I've done a lot of posting in this book to try and figure out what's happening.
I forever want to do that, but I actually it's like a TV show or a film or something where somebody's highlighting something in a book and then somebody else looks over their shoulder and says that you can't highlight the whole book, because that's like I don't know what to highlight, and I think that everything must be important.
Maybe that's the thing to look at.
It's very difficult up here in this. There's like a lot of empty space, but also no space.
But then if you're approaching it for a specific reason, I think that is useful. Saying like, I want to understand. So you start on the big topic, like I want to understand structure, but like really what is it about structure you want to understand? Like, do you want to understand how the whole series arc fits into an individual book arc? And if you want to do that, then
I think it's I want
to do about it.
Yeah, I want to have a really satisfying complete series where like, and I like writing trilogies, so I'll just use that as an example. I really want like book 1 to be really purposeful, and then book 2, like I want each book to not just be like a story that kind of leads on to something else. I want to be so good at weaving the whole plot through all 3 books so that it's I want to be purposeful. I want to create something that has got a purpose. Like the story has a purpose, and the character arcs have a purpose, and it's not just like this is what happens, and then at the end, here we go.
I would say like for me, it was definitely worth picking someone who writes books that are not like I normally write. So I would maybe say like, could you pick someone like Lindsay Broker, who writes books that have very satisfying arcs, like the Emperor's Edge series. They're very satisfying and they're also very easy to see on the page. And the books, you can get them for free on audio. You can get them as an old podcast you release them that way. And you can just buy some paperbacks and literally mark them up. And then mark up like what is series arc and what is book arc. Because I think looking for it when it's in your genre, you almost like blinded a bit by what you find what you expect to find.
Expectations.
In a slightly different genre is helpful because you're looking at it from more of a mechanical point of view.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm really enjoying at the moment, is reading this Dungeon Crawler Carl series, or whatever. I don't know what the series is called, because it's not a genre that I have ever really read. I mean, I've read it is sci-fi, but it's also like such a specific genre, like subgenre of sci-fi, that it's really, I'm finding it really interesting how much I'm enjoying it and how just swept away in the series I've gotten. And it's because I don't know what I'm expecting. And I think that's it's like a really fun thing to be reading it and thinking like, I'm sure other people who know this sort of thing, because it's a lit RPG, and I'm sure people who read a lot of those know the structure and know like, well, of course this is going to happen next and this is going to happen, and like all of these things that are being mentioned, there are probably thousands and thousands of readers who know what all these things are. And to me, I'm just like, a new thing to learn. Oh, what's this? Like, it's really fun.
There are levels?
Yeah, like it's like it's crazy, and it's like really fun to read and actually like not know what's coming around the corner. And I am currently reading them on Kindle, so it's difficult to mark things up. But I really would like to try and figure out what it is that is keeping me hooked on these books.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that is not like if you're looking for books to study for like your books, it feels more like TV compared to what you're looking for, like series arc. So yeah, I would like it's fascinating to read it and be like, it sort of reads like a serial. Like someone I read it in a book club, and someone said like it feels a bit like a webcomic, or like a web novel. The way it doesn't, like, the individual books don't necessarily
episodic.
End anywhere. Yeah.
Yes.
And they just sort of stop. It's like, and then the next book.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
But yeah, and I would also say the benefit of picking something like a Lindsay Broker at a series, like the benefit of picking this one, The Karen Slaughter, is like I'd already bought the ebook for £3, and then there's so many copies of paperback around. This was also £3, so I didn't have to spend a lot of money to get myself a paperback copy, to literally draw all over it and mark up, and I did not feel bad about that. And it's in a close enough genre that I could, I could take things from it that would be applicable in terms of like pacing and like narrative type of expectation, but without having to necessarily be able to expect like they're going to go to the bakery now, because they do not go to a bakery in the it's like psychological thriller. There's no stopping for cakes,
which is just not true, because even in real life, if you're investigating a murder, you're going to get a cake somewhere.
I would get a cake,
surely.
I don't think they eat, actually. This is concerning now I think about it. But yeah, I think, I other things that I found very useful was like revisiting things that I've previously not been interested in, that hadn't really hit, and like keeping quite open-minded to that, because I feel like sometimes when you read about something or you learn about something, you're like, I'm not feeling that. I can't see any benefit in that at all. It doesn't feel real to me or useful to me. And then a friend of the podcast, Jen, sent me a video about using Enneagrams to write characters. And I was like, I've listened to the Claire Taylor's podcast before. I feel like it never quite goes in. She's got a podcast called What If? I think it's called something like What If for Authors, but I'll put the link in the show notes. And so she sent me this video, and I watched the video, and I was like, oh, this. 100% this. I think just because it hit at the right time. Like I'd already done a few days of kind of reading and thinking and researching, and I'd sort of hit a point where I didn't have any language for myself for like thinking about characters and thinking about them in terms of the Enneagram. Previously it felt sort of like reductionist. I couldn't quite see how it could relate to like real people or realistic characters, and I just wasn't in a place to look at it before. And then the way she talked about in this video that I was sent it felt much more like I could understand what she's talking about. And the Enneagram is, it's just there's 9 types of people, and very broadly, everyone falls into these 9 types. But like, obviously, there's more than 9 types of people. You've met more than 9 types of people. Like, they're just at different ends of the spectrum inside that group, and it's more about like, what at its core are they motivated by? And I talk all the time in the podcast about like, I hate failure. It makes me feel like I'm dying, failing. I only want to learn stuff, and I want to be knowledgeable and successful and not fail at anything. And it turns out that's just an Enneagram 5. This is just described perfectly in the book. Then you can find about an Enneagram type 5. And I think thinking about that and thinking about, she's written a really good book that is write iconic characters. It's quite a new one. She did a Kickstarter on it recently. Again, I'll link to that in the show notes. And it does such a detailed analysis of each of the types in terms of how they would impact a character. So in terms of like how they might speak, what they would be like if they're kind of in a positive mindset, what they would be like if they're afraid. It does a deep dive into an example of that character, like from a TV show or a book, and talks about why the writers made certain choices so that when they were in a bad situation, they made this action because of their core motivation or their core fear. And it just absolutely made sense to me. And so I've ordered many more books on Enneagrams. I'm full Enneagram girly right now. And it is really helping me. That character I mentioned before that I'm really stuck on. I think that part of the reason why I'm really stuck is like I don't know what his motivation is.
Yeah.
And so I'm currently reading that iconic characters book, trying to figure out. I know I need him to be a person who's made bad choices for what they think is a good reason. And can I find the right, like, what would be their core motivation for this? Because it's not something I would ever do. The character who's doing it. It's not something I would ever do. And I need to figure out like how this person would justify it themselves. And so it is really helpful to kind of look at it just in that mechanical way. Because the other characters came quite naturally. I was like, I kind of know who they are. Reading the Enneagram, I'm like, yeah, I've got that person down. But I'm left with this like hole in the book of a person I can't figure out. And so previously I would have just written like, oh, it's just a person who feels really two-dimensional and rubbish. And now I feel like I've got kind of a tool to go back and figure out what I'm doing with it. Which feels really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it does sound really interesting because I love Enneagram stuff and just anything like that. Like, I think, like, just in terms of general interest, personality types are something that maybe a lot of people put a lot of stock into and other people just think it's a bit of fun. But if you can use it as a tool, then that's such a fun way of, like, the best of both worlds. You can see it as, like, a fun, flippant thing, but you can also, like, really believe in it for your characters.
Yeah, and I think that is useful about this book. So this is the book, Right Iconic Characters. I am not very far from the reading, but you can see how many post-it notes I've put on if you're watching the video. It is chock full of them. And I think what's really good is she's got these like little phrases, like just like little sentences like, oh, when I stress this person will act this way. It's like, oh, yeah. And I'm thinking about the character in this book that I'm planning. And I'm like, yeah, of course they would. Like, I want to really make sure I'm emphasizing that and showing it. And it's just like little drops of reminders of like, oh yeah, I need to make sure that I'm not forgetting that. And I think what I often, if you write quite plot heavy books, like a mystery, like a thriller or mystery, you sometimes like need a character to do a certain thing. And to a certain extent you can cheat, right? Like you can make it happen by the way that you write something. And it doesn't feel great as a reader when you kind of think about those characters. It doesn't make them feel very realistic, but you can sort of fudge it and make it happen. And I really want to make sure that I'm thinking about like making people so realistic that if I tried to fudge it, then the reader would be like, no, she'd never do that.
Yeah. I think that's such a key piece is you really want readers to feel like they know the character enough that they know that they wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So that has been really good. Another book that I had seen highly recommended, and I do like it. It's one that I'm reading like and enjoying. I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's giving me ideas, but I'm not reading it thinking this is the book of the source of all knowledge. But it is recommended a lot, and I am enjoying reading it. It is called Creating Unforgettable Characters by Linda Seeger. And I'm just going to put that in the show notes. It'll be long show notes today, but if anyone is also thinking about character, these are useful things. And then I've also got another gigantic Enneagram book that I was like, I am gonna get all in. This was from another author it was someone who I was on a retreat with, who I saw she had a book about Enneagram, and at the time I was a bit like, oh, what is this Enneagram nonsense? Like, it's not for me. I don't understand it. I don't know what it's all about. And then, like, flash forward 1 month, I was like, I'm all in. Tell me more.
Yeah.
So Measure, I was like, what was that book you reading? It sounded really interesting, and like I see now what you're doing with it. And it's just like a very
That's like
detailed book about
it's like
the
a
Enneagram.
textbook. For those
It is
who
like a
aren't
textbook.
watching this,
I
it
love
is
a
like a
textbook.
textbook. It's the writing is very small and the margins are
Mhm.
very wide.
It is, and also it's highly recommended all the way through the Claire Taylor Write Iconic Characters book. So I feel very super good for having ordered it. It's The Wisdom of the Enneagram. It's got, this is how you know it's a bit suspicious. It's got a picture of a dove on the front that you think like, oh, it's a bit woo woo.
Yes. Like, what
I'm
does
all
it
in.
mean?
I'm in on the woo.
Yeah.
So it's The Wisdom of the Enneagram, and it's by Rizzo and Hudson, is the author pair. So you've seen them around. They have got a lot of info on the website, on the web as well. So I will link to that in the show notes. Um, I feel like it might actually be out of print right now, so I've got a very old paper copy, but I think that might be because this is all old secondhand copy. This is all that might exist. This is from 1999.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I've not started this yet. I'm looking forward to working on it. Um, yeah, and I've read and looked at so many useful things. Want to very quickly, I think I mentioned one a while ago that I wanted to re-mention because I am really enjoying it and find it useful. And it's nice and sciencey. It's got a not memorable name though, so I'm just going to stall for time very quickly here. It's called The Science of Writing Characters. And the author is called Kiri Ann Pelican, which I like a lot.
Yeah, there's a book that Brian forever tells me to read, which is funny when your boyfriend, who isn't a writer, tells you that there's a craft book that you should read. That's how you know
Okay.
you're doing, you're being bad when it comes to learning. And it's
Yeah.
like a lot of people probably have heard of this. It's Into the Woods by John York, and it's
Yes, it's
about
very good.
it's a like, yeah, exactly. It's like a very well known book, very highly regarded. Really tells you how to write stories and like story structure in a way, from what I can tell, is because I think it uses a lot of film
Yeah,
as
he's a screenwriter. I mean, but he's
yes,
TV and film. He actually wrote a lot of
yeah,
like soap operas and then like other episodic television. But
yes, he really
yeah,
understands structure and plot and characters and I know, and we've got like obviously we've got a copy of it on a bookshelf. And I look at it all the time and think I should read it. It's not even a big book, and I think I should just read that because I know like so many people tell me it's so good, and
yeah,
it's
it is,
like
and it's very
exactly what I
slim.
really need. Yes, it's not a big book at all, which is really like ridiculous. I've been putting it off, and I think I'm gonna have to definitely read that at some point soon, because there's no like I can't I can't keep avoiding it because that's ridiculous. I feel like this is really the part of my brain where it's like nobody tells us how to learn, and so
Mhm.
I'm not really rebelling against it, even though I desperately want to read it. But I just have this. This is a very middle child ADHD thing where it's when somebody tells you what to do, even if you want to do it, because somebody else has told you, you can no longer do it,
Yeah.
and you can no longer find enjoyment in it. So I need to get over that. At least I
What
know
would
these
help you
things
get over
about
that?
myself, you know.
Yeah, sort of, but it doesn't sound great.
It's not, no,
Um,
that's definitely the worst part.
I mean, interestingly, even my dad was telling me, who does not really read a lot of fiction, like reads a little bit of fiction, but like has not heard of this book. He was like, "Oh, have you heard of this John York guy?
Hmm.
He's really interesting because he's got a BBC Radio 4 program which is called Opening Lines, which is stunning. The title is terrible because it's not about the opening lines of books. It's like a sneaky way for him to tell you about like everything fascinating about whatever book is being on the radio drama of the week.
Hmm.
Every episode of it is amazing, and he just goes into so much about like the writer's choices, the context of the book. It's very short episodes. I think if you're outside the UK you probably can't get hold of it because I think it might be limited just to the UK, but that is unfortunate for you but not for me. But really anything where you can see or hear John York talking, he is incredibly insightful and interesting and like funny and seems like a normal guy. But again, I'll put links to that in the show notes.
Yeah,
um
he's just brought out a new book as well, and I didn't know whether it was
it's a bit creepy and
also.
weird. It looks so
I know
intense.
this is the thing. Like I don't know if it's within the same kind of ballpark because it's called Trip to the Moon. But
Yeah, I've tried
and
reading it.
it's
It's a
understanding
lot.
the true power of story, and it seems like
It's
a little
very
bit
philosophical.
scary. Yes,
Yeah.
very, very philosophical. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but that is...
No, I think read Into the Woods. That is
I think
for
I'm just
you.
going to start with Into the Woods. I know, it really is for me. This is it.
Yeah.
This is just me in a nutshell. I'm so just really trying to keep myself down.
You'll really like it as well. Like it's a very good read.
Yeah,
So
I
yes.
will. I am going to get better. I feel like this is I'm like calling out the universe and saying like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
It's time. Send me the lessons, but
Yeah.
in ways that I can absorb them, please.
I think it will. I think that is good. Because it definitely worked for me. I feel much better about writing characters and like what I want to think about. And it's not like because what I really don't like, so when you start looking for things about like how to write better characters, is you find a load of like character worksheets. I was like, no, I don't care what flavor ice cream somebody likes. That's not going to help me figure out like, because I could just decide that. Like, it's not like I don't know what flavor ice cream somebody likes. I probably could figure that out for every character in my books. It's not meaningful to me. I don't know what flavor ice cream you like, and that doesn't mean I don't know you and could write a book about you. Right? Like, I feel
I don't
could...
like ice cream. There you go.
Yeah, didn't even know that, and I won't remember it. Well, that is weird.
I know.
But yeah, but it's not a fundamentally important thing about a person to me. And I think also I can't make a character real outside of a book. Maybe because I can't see people inside my head. Like, I need somebody to be acting, to be like, the ice cream will only be relevant if they have to be ordering ice cream.
Yeah.
And then I would choose an ice cream flavour that would tell me something about them. But I have to be relevant in there. I can't, like, make an arbitrary list of facts. And so much stuff when I was looking up, like, how to learn about characters was about these, like, arbitrary, boring character sheets that just don't help me at all. And I'm sure they help some people.
Yeah, I've always struggled with character sheets because I love the idea of it, and I've made them myself, and I often think about my characters and try and think about, you know, what would be on their character sheet. But it does feel pointless in some ways when, like you say, like, I don't... that like, if I'm never going to mention their favourite book, why try and think of it? And then if I am going to mention what their favourite book is whilst I'm writing, then what relevance does it have? Then I've got to write that into the story as well. Like, it has to be relevant.
And I think, like, the example of the, like, how do they pick up the £5 note? That is relevant because that tells you so much about, like, what do they care about? When it's something so important as money, like, are they hiding it? Are they handing it into somebody? Are they going straight out to spend it on something? Like, that is very telling about a person. Whereas, like, what ice cream do they like? I don't know, probably just whatever their taste buds enjoy. That's not relevant.
I can tell you what happened when I found a £5 note the other day. And Brian said to me, do what you think is right. And I put it in my bag.
Yeah. What else are you going to do with it?
Well,
find the owner.
You know,
it's not written the name on it.
Exactly. It was in a supermarket. Somebody had left it in a self-checkout thing, like they'd gotten change or something. There was no one around. What's the benefit? So I've kept it, and I'm going to pay it forwards in some way.
You brought me a nice drink today, so I feel that's at least
did.
partly.
Yeah,
that's my
I gave some money to a homeless man today as well. So just so everyone knows, I do also give as well as take.
But people who believe themselves to be lucky find more money because when you're looking for that sort of thing, you find that sort of thing. Yeah. Which is the only sort of manifesting I believe in, because I believe myself to be lucky and I am also lucky. But that is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. But like, you couldn't, if you wrote a character sheet and you wrote down like someone believes themselves to be lucky, again, that doesn't tell me anything about the person, because I want to see like in a situation where like they need luck or they have luck, how do they actually act, and do I need that? So yes, I think I found it a bit daunting to go into this task of like make this craft, like undertake this craft project that you don't know what it's going to be because you don't know what you're missing. But I just let myself dive into it as I wanted, and I enjoyed it immensely.
Explored it. I think that's it. I think it is taking the time, not just fitting it in, which is what I'm always trying to do, is just trying to fit it in here and there. Can I read this book? Can I try and make a plan? Can I do all these things in between all my other stuff? It's like I'm never gaining any traction, and I think just taking that time to have a week or whatever of doing it sounds like a perfect thing to do.
So yes, strongly recommend, and I am going to try and hopefully have some time next week to still work on it, because definitely this week I found myself feeling less like I'm implementing it less. I've definitely made fewer notes on on the fake story, even though I'm carrying my little note cards around all the time. But it's going in. I will keep working on it. And I'm really looking forward to planning a new series. I'm going to rework the Christmas book that I've already sort of partly written. I knew it needed a rework, and I'm going to rework it with like much better characters and stronger stakes for characters. And it doesn't necessarily mean like they're, life or death stakes. It just means like it's much clearer what they want out of a situation, and they're going to go for it. So I feel very happy about what I've achieved. Good work, me. Yeah. So, but yes, and a big part of that came from like the community that we built around this podcast of like people who have sent resources, suggested things, and also just like being in a community of people who are learning about things and sharing resources that they have found feels great.
Yeah.
If you'd like to join that, the Discord that we have, which anyone can join, the link's in our show notes, along with many, many other things this week. So you can hop in there. If you did want to join any of the membership tiers where you get more things like co-working with us, bashing days where we fix problems that we're all having, workshops from us, and many more things, resources, etc. You can find information about that in there, but anyone is free to join, and we would love to see you in there to share information with you and some resources. The payments made through coffee, the link to that is in the show notes if you want to find out more information. It's also in the coffee. Next week we're doing something different that I've definitely made a note on and just lost it on my phone. Next week we're discussing co-working, because we had such a good time of it this week, and we also both do co-working in a real life situation as well. And that's not the same as like co-writing. It's literally just like working alongside other people and how you make that work, what you can get out of it, how you do it, what you benefit from it. So do you have any initial thoughts on that, bearing in mind the podcast has been quite long?
Yes, I'm not going to have big thoughts, but I have thoughts on both, and I'll be bringing them next week.
Looking forward to talking about it. Yes, I think I have been surprised by how beneficial I found co-working, and I am looking forward to talking about it. And I will see everyone next week, and thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to Pen to Paycheck Authors.
Stay tuned for our next episode, and don't forget to subscribe to learn how to write your way to financial success.